What's up, everybody? This is Rob Shack. So today we're doing the next video in my Gran Turismo 4 walkthrough here. We are doing the Muscle Car Championship using the Mercury Cougar. We are doing the final race here on Seattle Circuit. Ooh, it's an iconic one. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Help me get to 1,000 subs. Hoping to get there by the end of the year. This is a great race. We're going to keep restarting till we get the Buick Special, because I want the Buick Special in the race. I think it would make it way more challenging. Everybody else kind of, no offense, everyone else just doesn't have the top speed, and I didn't feel like I needed the Buick Special on Infineon Raceway because nobody hit their top speed on that course, so I'm not like super bummed about that. But I want the Buick. I want the Buick Special in this race. The Buick Special was on my video 2 weeks ago on New York, and it was not on Infineon, but I would love to do this, so I'm going to keep restarting until I get the Buick because the Buick Special is ridiculous. But thank y'all so much for watching these videos. They're so much fun to make. This game is amazing. I've really enjoyed playing through this game again. I mean, I haven't played through this game since I was literally a kid, so it's like, or a teenager, I guess, really. It's just crazy. It's crazy to come back. It's fun to play this game again. I'm playing through it with a older perspective where I appreciate the game a lot more, so it's a lot of fun. Well, I'm hoping that I can get the Buick. Obviously I'm not going to just restart a million zillion times, but I'm like, if Buick doesn't come into this lobby, I'm just eventually I'm going to have to leave and try it. It's just going to have to happen. But in the meantime, we'll keep trying here. I'll do it probably like 5 more times. Obviously I don't want the video just to be me restarting it 1,000 times, so I'll do 5 more tries. And then I'm just gonna pick the lobby, because obviously I've made the Cougar ridiculously strong. It's very fast and it's surprisingly lightweight. It honestly has a much better, it's lighter than I expected. So I'm pumped to use it. Ooh. Well, I think I'll actually take this one. The Shelby Cobra is in first. The Shelby's sick. Yeah, we'll go with this. I mean, again, the Shelby's not nearly as good as the Buick, so whatever. But maybe what I'll do is come back and do one more with the Shelby, or with the Buick. I'll do a couple more retries. Hopefully get the Buick in there, but we'll see. Yeah, so we're using the Mercury Cougar XR7. The only Mercury that's ever been in these games. It's weird how they never brought back the modern Cougar, which was in Gran Turismo 2. And they even had the Ford Cougar in that game as well, and then they got rid of that too. I don't really know why. This is the big mystery that I bring up in a lot of my Gran Turismo videos, is that Gran Turismo 2 had a lot of cars that were only in 2, and I don't know what happens with that. I don't know what Polyphony's reasoning for that is. Is that like a licensing thing? I'm not really sure, but it just seems like a lot of cars that were in 2 never came back, almost like they shouldn't have used them. That's kind of the vibe I get, is that like they just put cars in the game and was like, we'll just ask for permission later, and then car companies were like, no. Because what I've noticed is that in the earlier games, there was a lot of like the base models for cars. And then in later games, they never really did that anymore. They only put like the top model of a car in a game. And so I'm like, maybe that's the reason? I don't know. It's really strange though. And there's some fighting behind me here. I don't know if I just messed up that Camaro by just existing here. Again, you can try to never interfere with the AI long enough, but I mean, eventually you're gonna have to get in their way a little bit. It's just gonna have to happen, and like they have to be okay with it, and they never are. So it's whatever. Let's get past the Superbird, and now we're good to go. But actually might have overdone this here. So let's see if we can kind of recover this stuff. So the Cobra is really far ahead of me, and I'm not really gaining on him at all. So maybe we need to figure this out. I mean, I'm losing the other people, but not him. Anyway, but that's my thoughts with the way that they did those games. I think it just is, maybe they had some licensing issues, but that's I don't know. Again, I may have to restart this level. By the way, I don't think I'm gonna be able to catch up to the Cobra in time. I think I very much underestimated how fast I needed to go here. We'll see. I don't think I can do it, and I'll have to just restart the game. I'm gonna try to go for 100%ing this game and also not ever losing a race. So I will just start the game over. That's what I'm gonna do. 100%. No shame in that. When I was a kid, I like never even got close to doing that. I'm like, no, we're gonna make that happen in this game. And hey, who knows? Maybe when we restart the game, we'll actually get the first version of this lineup where we actually get the Buick Special again. So yeah, we're gonna restart the game. Stand by. So yeah, we're gonna do that so that we don't have to save. That's why we do this. But yeah, so I think that's my thoughts on GT2 and why there were random cars. I don't know why I'm talking about that right now, but it's random. Who cares? I think that they asked for permission for cars, or they never asked for permission for cars. Certain cars were just thrown in the games, and they also put in cars that were kind of low-key terrible. So like a thing I noticed was like with BMW, the BMW, they didn't like the M being in the game. So they only put the like lower version of every car. So the 8 series, they had the 7 series, the 5 series, and then a bunch of 3 series, but no M's in the GT2. And then eventually they got rid of all the crappy lower tier versions of the 3 series and just left like the one main top 3 series, and then all the M's. So like I think Polyphony just made a bunch of cars. Like they said, what car, can we put some of your cars in our game? And then they said sure. And then it was like, oh wait, you put like a Ford Puma, which is like the worst car ever. Really? You put a Puma in the game? And then like, well, we can make it racing modified so you can have the Cup car. And then they're like, okay, but make it generic. And then they just never use it again. Like, so I think there's just, wait, no, I didn't want to do that. Oh no. Well, fine. We'll race this, and then we'll just do another one with the Shelby Cobra after this. I want to still get, yeah, we still want to get our 100% win-loss ratio here. But yeah, so I think that's just kind of what Polyphony did, was they put a bunch of cars in Gran Turismo 2 that were kind of embarrassing for the car companies. So then they were like, yeah, don't put them back. Like, the Mercury Cougar is allowed to stay in the game, but the Ford Cougar and the Mercury Cougar that's from '99 never came back because that car was kind of bad. Even though in Gran Turismo 2 they were like proud of it. It was like a license test car that you used a lot. So I'm like, okay, so you guys clearly didn't hate the car. Polyphony didn't dislike the car because they threw it in a bunch of stuff. Like how they did, and this is the one that always kind of gets me, is the R390 GT197 was in Gran Turismo 2. It was mentioned in the descriptions for cars in the later Gran Turismo games, but it never came back again. But that car was coded more than any other car in Gran Turismo 2. So you go, wait, clearly Polyphony liked the car, but it almost seems like the developer or the car manufacturers didn't want certain cars in the games. So then they would say like, no, don't put that car back in the game, because then you just never see it again. Like the Toyota GT1 from '98, like that car's sick and it's only in 2, and I wish it was in other games, and it's not. And so I'm like, that to me is really interesting. I don't know what goes into that development cycle and what goes into the decision making of that, because again, I would be, if I was a car company, I would 100% want to pad my car's company's status in the game. Like, I wouldn't want to put every single version of a car, which I think that's what Polyphony was trying to avoid, because obviously with like, you know, the TVRs, you had 3 different Cerberos, you had 3 different Chimeras, and they don't even bring back the Chimera, because the Chimera is essentially a Griffith with a convertible. It's like a Griffith mixed with a Cerbero. So you're like, okay, so they just got rid of that whole car. But I'm like, did you have to get rid of all of them? Couldn't you have just kept one Chimera and just left it in the game? Just that people be like, oh yeah, that was that car that debuted in GT2 and it's back. But they never did that. And so I think that's something that's like really weird. Like, I can see why cars that like didn't win any race, like, so when they had a, like, what if they had like that Momo MR2 from Gran Turismo 2, that car never came back, but that car wasn't really, I don't think that car won. Maybe it did. If it won stuff, then it should have been back. Like, any car that was notable in some sort of series, they should have brought it back. And I don't know, I think I get concerned with GT7 that they're gonna just be like, base model, and then you paint it. Like, GT500 Skyline, paint it, and then you can paint it to be the Pennzoil or the whatever. And I'm like, I would rather it not be like that. I'd rather it be that all the cars are licensed in the game. But again, that's just me. I just noticed that there's a alternate path on that Seattle circuit up there. I never noticed that. But yeah, I think that it makes me a little bit uncomfortable if they're thinking about, because I saw this in the GT7 reveal. They had the Panos, or the Pennzoil Nismo GTR in the game, but it was labeled as like the GTR GT500, but it was clearly the Pennzoil. But I was like, wait, you've got to keep the name the same, unless, I mean, I know that in history they painted the cars and all that stuff, but I just don't want them to like totally turn their back on like getting the cool logos for the cars and the names and the little whatever those things are when they're in the garage, the little descriptors in the car in the garage, like talking about what the Pennzoil Nismo did, stuff like that. Like, that stuff I don't want them to get rid of. So I don't want them to just, I noticed that even in 6 they had like Skyline GTR GT500, and it was just like in the game as a base model, but then they also had the classics, the good ones. So I'm like, I just want to be sure that they don't totally turn their back on like what got them big. Like, I want to do a race where there's a whole bunch of different GT 500 cars all in the race together, and it's not just a bunch of Skyline GTR cars with the same name, just different paint jobs. You know what I'm saying? Does that, like, I hope I'm making sense to everybody here. Again, please let me know y'all's thoughts on all this. This is stuff I'm very intrigued with. We obviously just want the Plymouth Superbird. I'm going to still do one more. I want to win the race with the Shelby Cobra in the race. I don't want to just take the easy road out and get the one that it was just a bunch of slower cars. I don't want to do that. But I will be much more aggressive this time because the Cobra was going to beat me. But yeah, this is the stuff that I think about with these games, is you go, don't change too much. Evolve the game. Make GT7 the spiritual successor to Gran Turismo 4, and then we're good. That's basically it. Like, if you just, because GT Sport is a lot like Gran Turismo 1. It's the game that was revolutionary, had great graphics, great sound design, great everything, but didn't have a lot of cars in it. So what I'm hoping for is that with GT7, they just start with GT Sport, and then just add in everything. Just they've been developing new cars, new tracks, new missions. Bring back GT4's level of like, you can advance through the game in a million different ways, but make it unique and also make it just like an advancement of what GT Sport did. Because GT Sport, like, I didn't ever get a PS4, and I still might at some point, just to be able to like say I played GT Sport. But I'm like, I rooted for that game, and they did a great job with GT Sport. Like, I was really, really happy with the way that they took care of their fans in Gran Turismo Sport. I thought like they could easily have just like ruined that game and just made it a cash cow just to get them some money till they made GT7. But they didn't do that. They like actually tried to like continue, like they worked on the penalty system, they added new cars for free, they added new tracks, all in updates. They're trying to incentivize people to just keep playing the game, and I think that is something that GT Sport did very, very, very well. And so I'm hoping that 7 is a similar thing where there's a reason to come back and keep playing. Again, you can have races with other people. I'm not like against that. I'm not that much of a like, oh, it has to be this way. But like if you basically do like a Forza Horizon like 2 situation where you have like a sort of a story and you can race other people for more money in the game, but it's really about, because Gran Turismo has always been a collect every car, get every car, collect them all, do max speed tests, do a race on a test course, light course, get crazy fast, stuff like that. That's what to me, and I think that's what to a lot of people Gran Turismo is. It's a game where you have this mad science experiment where you're just figuring out everything about the game, all the intricacies, what parts are worth getting, what parts increase acceleration, weight reduction. I would love it if they bring back racing modifications, but I get how like absolutely impossible that is nowadays. Like you can't do that anymore. Like you can't have racing modifications for like 1,000 cars. Like you might as well just get the license for every version of these cars. That's like what you should do. You know what I'm saying? So like it doesn't need to be like GT2's level where you just like have like 700 cars and they're all racing modifiable. Like I don't think anyone really, I'm sure there are people who like want to go back to that, but I'm like, no. I recognize how difficult it is to code a car nowadays. It's so difficult. So like, and to just create the cars and imprint them in the game. So I'm like, no, you don't have to do that, but just make it where there's a lot of cars to collect. That's basically, and make it worth it to collect the cars, because in Forza games what they do that sucks is you just get every car, and it doesn't feel like an accomplishment. At least in Forza Horizon 2, which I played 2 and a few of the newer ones, and they suck. But like the Forza Horizon 2, there was a reason to explore the map, because you would find the little barns and get cars through that. Of course, they monetized the crap out of that game, so it wasn't actually super replayable, and everybody had better cars than you when you would try to race other people, which is why I never did. But it's just so good. Like they have the potential for in GT7 to be just kick every other racing game out, and it would just be the best game forever. That's kind of what I want, because I don't think Gran Turismo is the first game that really revolutionized racing genres on the console. Like they really did a great job. So that's my hope. Well, we beat the Cobra. It was actually difficult to do that. I'll watch the replay here. Let me know y'all's thoughts on all this stuff. I'm sorry to have ranted a lot in this game. I'm excited for everything, but I'll have to name this video like thoughts about Gran Turismo 7 or something like that, because I definitely talked about a lot of things that I wasn't expecting to talk about. Anyway, gotta love the muscle cars with their terrible handling, unable to really control themselves. It's pretty fantastic. I've already made a pass over the Chevrolet Camaro, who totally has the wrong sound design in this game. He does not sound like a 60s Camaro. He sounds like a modern one. Hilarious. I don't know if that was planned, but we got ourselves Superbird, me, Cobra, who's again just absolute. How is this only a 3.8 spec race? Like, it's actually really difficult. I think it's because the Cougar just has a lot of wheel spin at this point. But we got a Shelby Mustang GT 350R, Camaro SS 69, 302, Z28, and then the Superbird. So it's a good time. This is just a great game. Super fun to play through. I'm excited for Gran Turismo 7. I have to figure out how I'm gonna get it. I don't know. I don't know yet, but I want it. So
we'll let the rest of the replay play out. I don't think I have anything else to say, but let me know y'all's thoughts on all this stuff because I have a lot of thoughts, obviously, about up and coming games. So and games that just came out. So peace.